Hello and welcome back to my channel. I am Mercedes and this is the Frugal Life with Mercedes. So being a doormat does not make you a good person. It makes you a doormat. Now, what do I mean by this? We are told that there is a certain way we are supposed to act, treat, and talk to people. However, not everyone is held to that same standard. I know I've been in many situations where I was expected to do certain things that the other person was not expected to do, either by themselves or society or the group or what have you. And I think that that is BS. We should all treat each other kindly. We should all respect people's boundaries and their personal space and their beliefs, but not everyone's going to do that. So I always speak from the perspective of a woman because I am a woman. So from my experience, my point of view, women especially are told we are supposed to be very cooperative and be a team player in all situations and amicable, and that women can bend to situations more easily, this and this and this and this. And in the process, we are taken advantage of and we become a doormat. And we are told that if we use our voice, if we stand up for ourselves, if we put down boundaries, then we're the problem. Now, I know that that does happen to men as well. But again, I am not a man, so I can't speak from that point of view. I can only speak from my own point of view. There was a situation where somebody was telling me about their sister, cousin, whoever got divorced, and they had been married for a long, long time. I want to say 30, 40, 50 years, something crazy like that, and they got divorced. And the guy left her out of the blue, supposedly she was very surprised. And then in the process of getting divorced, she kept waiting on him hand and foot. They no longer lived together. They were no longer anything. I'm pretty sure they were divorced. And she would still give him money and cook for him and do his laundry. And there was no funny business. It wasn't like a friends with benefits, we used to be married kind of situation. He would just call and say yeah, I don't really know how to do whatever, because they were married and she ran the house. So he got the house, but she knew where everything was because she had made it a home. And all these different things. And so I'm being told this story and I was like, well, she should just stop doing that. Oh, well, she's a good person, so she doesn't want to leave him in the lurch. And it's okay, so he left her after all those years together. He got the house, and she's still expected to wait on him hand and foot. And if she said no, she would be a bad person? Am I understanding that correctly? Do you know what I mean when you break it down like that? And that's just ridiculous. Or your neighbor tries to tell you how what color your house should be, and you don't paint it the color you want. You paint it the color they want because you're trying to be agreeable. All these things are just asinine. We are all allowed to put down boundaries with an ex, with our children, with our current significant other, with the neighbor, with our boss, with the weird person that's getting too close to you at the supermarket. Does that only happen to me? I hope not. That you gotta tell somebody random hey, listen, you're way too close. That doesn't make you a bad person. People, when they don't get their way, they try to convince you that you're in the wrong. Especially if somebody's been used to getting their way always, whether you've always given that person their way or society at large has always given them their way. Nobody's ever called them out. They're not self-aware. It is going to be a rude awakening for that person, but don't let that person's reaction change your boundaries and your set of what you're going to do. There was a situation when I got divorced, and my ex-husband would routinely call me and ask for relationship advice from the women he was dating. And I was like, listen, I'm not comfortable with this. Like, we're not together. I don't want to know who you are or are not dating. I'm like, he basically was like, well, I'm really interested in this girl, but blah, 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 blah. Is this a red flag? And I'm like, I'm not going to help you determine red flags for women that you're dating. Like, I'm not going to do that. And then it was like, oh, well, I thought we were friendly. And it's like, yeah, we're on decent terms, but I'm not going to like be your wingman. And he acted like that was like insane that I put down that boundary. And everybody's boundaries and expectations looks different. But don't let anybody or the powers that be or fake etiquette laws and rules dictate you getting taken advantage of and you being a doormat. You get to decide. And these things aren't always super dramatic. It could be your able-bodied teenage child acts helpless, like they can't make their lunch. And so what do? You step in and make their lunch. No, you got to put down boundaries. Continually doing everything for people and then being upset that you're like not having your needs met and you're not being valued. There has to become a point where you like put down that boundary. So no matter what society says, being a doormat does not make you a good person. I don't know if you're a good person or not, but that doesn't determine whether you are or not. How much crap you will take from everybody, how much burden, how much responsibility, how much just crap and mistreatment you take does not make you more or less worthy than anybody else. It does not make you a good person. It makes you a doormat. So stop being a doormat, lay down the boundaries, and whoever doesn't fall in line, I guess that's a them problem. It really is, guys. I learned in therapy that if you put down reasonable boundaries and somebody doesn't want to follow it, that's their prerogative, but you should never lower your reasonable standards because somebody else has a problem with them. But I bet that person has reasonable standards for you to follow, and you do, no matter how ridiculous they are. So just some things to keep in mind, guys. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Please consider subscribing to my channel, and until next time, bye.